Those melodies are amazing. They go on forever. Have you heard the Shadows? It's these three teenage sisters from New Hampshire in the 1960s that put out a record called Philosophy of the World. And they only played with each other, and they had no music. They were homeschooled and they lived in the woods. They didn't have a record player or radio or anything. And their dad made them practice every day. They hadn't played since their dad died in 1975. Except for one show that my friend Thomas was at. They opened for the Sun Ra Orchestra in 2000.
Really?
They fucking did. They sang 5 songs. He said they came in, and then she said, well, we're really happy to be here. We haven't played since our dad died in 1975, so we're a little rusty. We only remember 4 songs, but here we go. And he said it was like they pressed play on the record, like it just sounded. They sing in unison, these crazy New Hampshire accents, these really crazy weird melodies that go. There's no like, they repeat, but in really weird places. My pal's name is Foot. He always likes to roam. My pal's name is Foot. He leaves me when I'm not home. No, he's not. He's left home. I looked here, I looked there, I looked everywhere. Foot, where are you?
Thank you all for coming. This is the most amazing place in the world, both the city and especially the Bowery. And I couldn't wait that long. So Ruth let me come back, which is really nice. These are all old folk songs, mostly Appalachian folk songs. The first one was Irish. I was out walking around one night, and I came upon Wild Bill Jones. He was walking, he was talking with a girl I love, and I've been for to leave her alone. He said, young man, I'm 22, too old for to be controlled. So I drew a revolver from my side, and I shot at the poor boy's soul. Dun, da, 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 da.
Right, welcome to Toad Session number 5. Samamidon is playing for the second time in Edinburgh in a very short space of time. You just decided you liked it and wanted to come back.
The Bowery is too awesome.
So, but was that the first time you'd been to Edinburgh then in November when you played here?
I was here for one afternoon when I was 14 and we went to the castle.
I've lived here
That
for
was the
3
last
years.
time
I've
I
never
was here.
been to the
It
castle.
was great. Ruth and I went in November too. It was really fun.
Did you?
Somebody walking out gave me their ticket, so I didn't have to buy a ticket.
Me. Now, the stuff that you play, you were saying yesterday, none of it is your own material. You tried writing a song once and it was a disaster and you hated it.
Yeah, I wrote a whole album of songs and the whole thing was a disaster. But I tried to write and record it in 12 hours. So maybe that was the problem.
Because I find I don't really like cover versions very much. Like I always want to hear them, and whenever I hear them, I find myself quite disappointed. But I love folk music. But folk music is in many ways is cover versions. It's
yeah, except that there's no
reinterpretation.
original.
Yeah, exactly. The original gets lost. But I don't know why I sort of like that.
Or the original never existed really because maybe the original was a different song, and then somebody forgot half the words and had to come up with new ones, and then forgot the melody. The next person who learned it forgot half of the melody, and then you have a new song.
But you grew up with it in your family, didn't you? Because one of the songs that you've picked to play later on the podcast is actually your parents, is it not? So you grew up around all of this, and is it sort of just been a natural progression?
No, it hasn't been natural. I mean, I did grow up with it, and so in that way it was natural, but when I was a kid, I was much more into playing Irish fiddle,
And it was, in a way, the way I got really into the old time stuff was really similar for a lot of these people, which is that the CD store downtown started reissuing, like people started reissuing Doc Boggs, and in a way it wasn't that different from a lot of people where like I was getting into free jazz and I was, I bought Yola Tango, I Can Hear the Heart Beating As One in 1998 when it came out, and at that same year was also like, so it wasn't like I was steeped in the songs from the moment I was born, but it is true that my parents, sing folk songs.
Because it's quite funny, because American folk music can be quite a weird mixture sometimes, because a lot of it seems to come from very bluesy sort of an area. Well,
and a lot of it's come from here.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You get this, especially, when you play the fiddle, for example, it's very real-like, and yet some of the other stuff that you play, like you say, it's more Appalachian or and things like that. So you get quite a weird mixture. Which,
right.
And the first session tracks can be 1842. Which whereabouts in that spectrum does that one sit?
It's an old time song. I'm not sure where it comes from. I mean, I learned it from a guy named Jeff Davis.
1842, I didn't know what I should do. Sailed across the ocean blue, work on the railroad. Broke sugaroo, shook sugaroo, sugar in the cream chaw, how do you do? Just on the railroad, far, far road, Johnny comes picking on the banjo. I set out across the sea. Didn't expect to see poor me working on the railroad. Sugar, shook sugar, sugar in the cream shaw, how do you do? Just on the railroad, far, far road, Johnny comes picking on the banjo.
I have to confess, when you brought out the fiddle at the November gig, it was, I love to hear beautiful songs and so on, but for me that was actually the highlight of the show. Particularly because you sort of teased people in the sense that you sort of were sawing away, and you did it for so long that I think, Ruth was saying
notes.
You look at the audience, and some of them are thinking, Jesus, can he actually play this thing, or has he just picked it up and lapsed it?
It was something that I thought about in high school a little bit. I mean, that was a great moment because like I started playing the fiddle and it was out of tune, and so I just like hadn't played the fiddle for a while. So I think there was also a moment where I was wondering if I knew how to play the fiddle, but it was the only thing I did for a long time, and I grew up playing Irish tunes. I grew up in New England, and there's a really strong fiddle tradition there, but it's mostly Irish tunes, French Canadian tunes, and old time tunes, and it's sort of a mix. So that's what was around, and I just listened to all that and kind of made a beeline for the Irish stuff. But then I got into old time music at the same time as I got into free jazz in high school, and for me they were really similar. They were both really abrasive traditions that took a lot of listening to kind of like get into, because at first it just sounded like noise. I mean, that was true for Albert Eiler, and that was true for old time stuff too.
But a lot of your guitar and your banjo stuff is very it's very straight, very pretty.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. Some people like it, some people don't. But it's not difficult music in a sense. Whereas when you've played the fiddle both times, you've sort of say you just sort of tease in and out of tune. And do you watch the audience for a reaction to see how they're responding, or do you just
you're aware of certain things?
That sort of nervous laughter. As soon as you get to the stage where there's nervous laughter, I think, right, let's show these fuckers actually.
It's like that review. It's beautiful.
That review is amazing.
Yeah, I got a good review. I can't read it because it has offensive words in it though. All right.